If you haven't seen, Warm Audio has released an all new line of products. And if you've watched me for any number of years or whatever, you've seen I use a bunch of the Warm Audio stuff here in my studio, and I am a big fan. I got them to send me a couple of these products so that we can check them out and do a video on them, but I am very excited about these products. So let me just tell you, it's an all new line of 1176 compressors. They're doing faithful recreations of the Rev D Black 1176 and the Blue Stripe 1176. They're releasing both a mono version of both of these compressors and a stereo version. So I got one of each. We got a Blue Stripe mono and a Rev D stereo compressors. They've added in some new features that are going to make these unique products on the market. I'm gonna set them up in my desk and we're gonna run a bunch of stuff through them and see how they sound. Okay, so check it out. First things first, we've got the mono channel. This is the Blue Stripe 76A is what it's called, WA76A. And this is retailing for $6.99. brand new. Now both the Rev D and the Blue Stripe are going to be $6.99. This is the stereo WA76D2 for 2 channels. This is going to be $11.99. Am I right? $11.99 US dollars. As you can see here, this is not an 1178, but it is a unique design of a stereo Rev D. So let's open it up and check them out. All right, let's start with this Blue Stripe here. Oh, here we go. This is pretty nice. Woo! Look at that finish. So we got our manual for the single and dual channel discrete FET compressor. Look at that thing. I gotta say, again, as someone who does love Warm Audio and their products, this is one of my favorite designs because they didn't put their logo in orange. I'm sorry. I can't come around to the orange. And white looks so good. So good in white. Look at that. Oh my God. Look at that finish. The knobs feel good. Oh my God, feel those knobs.
Oh yeah.
Thick.
Oh.
Resistance. That's a big change. I remember the first version of their 1176 compressor. Knobs did not feel this good. Let's see what's on the face here. We've got a obvious 1176 input gain, output. If you're unfamiliar with the operation, this is your compression, like your threshold is increased as you increase the gain, and then your output is your level output, and then your attack, same thing, slow, fast release. You've got your ratios. Man, these do feel great too. 4, 8, 12, 20 meters over here, +4, gain reduction, +8. So gain reduction is your compression. Now these are some of the new features over here. We've got a dry, wet mix knob, as well as an off switch. Wet, dry, so you can do some parallel compression. So this is the sidechain high pass filter. This is a new addition as well. So if you are hitting the compressor with something that has a lot of low end, you can sort of filter out what is triggering that compression here from 30 hertz all the way up to 300 hertz, which is great. Now you also have a link switch and an external sidechain option. And then over here, the last two new features, this is actually pretty huge. You have a impedance input switch. Depending on what you're coming in from, this can make a very big difference. And then you have a hard bypass right on the unit. And I'm guessing this is a true bypass. I'll fact check that before we put the video out. But a true bypass, meaning it's not touching the actual circuit. That's what they did with their WA1B as well. And that is super cool. On the back, we've got our line input, XLR, 1/4 inch TRS, balanced output, XLR, 1/4 inch TRS. Insert, in and out, that's pretty cool. And then sidechain 1 and 2, so you can link them. All right, so we're gonna set this aside and we'll pull out the D2 dual channel. WA76D2 dual limiting compressor. It looks like we have essentially the same controls as the single channel, even on the Blue Stripe, but for 2 channels here. So we've got impedance, we've got our bypass, input, output, attack, release. input, output, attack, release. Then we've got our ratios, our meter. And then over here, same controls, side chain, high pass filter, off, on. Then we have our mix, wet, dry blend. And then this we have our AB. So this is our dual mono or stereo control for the unit. And then on the back, Cinemag, transformers, balanced XLR outs, 1/4 inch TRS, balanced XLR ins, 1/4 inch TRS. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take both of these compressors and we're gonna set them up as hardware inserts in my studio desk so that we can insert them on a recording and test them out in real time on a handful of different sources. So let's get those set up. All right, so the next thing I want to show you is something that if you're using outboard gear with VU meters, you may run into, which is calibrating your meter. So essentially, when you are using a compressor, you're going to keep it in gain reduction mode, which is going to show you how much compression there is when it's in use. The more accurate your meter is, the more accurate you will know what's going on with compression. So the way you can tell if you're perfectly calibrated is your meter, the little needle here, is going to be 100% on that 0 line. Now our meters on our stereo unit here look just about perfect. Now I have this one here, which I'm going to bring the needle up just a tiny hair more. And the way you do that is you put your compressor in gain reduction mode. So our needle will climb up to 0. And then once it's up there, over between our input and output section here, we have a small little screw hole. Inside of that is a trim that you can adjust with a small flathead screwdriver to adjust your meter's calibration. So take a look at this meter, and I'm just going to adjust our trim. As you can see, it's going to bring it down and up, and we want to get it just right. So just remember when you want to adjust that to keep your meter in gain reduction mode. Now we have a perfectly calibrated gain reduction meter. All right, let's start on the WA76D2 and we'll insert it on some drum room mics. Here we go. So we're currently in the A greater than AB mode, the middle switch, which means that our attack and release are controlled by channel A. So this is controlling the attack and release for both channels. Now I'm just going to play around with the mix wet dry knob. Let's try all in because I'm really liking this level. So let's do all buttons in. Let's see what this is probably gonna sound a little dramatic. Now let's solo the room so we're not hearing the drums with the rooms. It's just the room mics. Add the rooms back in. Man, it sounds really good. Okay, while I'm on drum rooms, I think this is a good source to explain this switch and the behavior here. So the first thing to know is your input, your channel A and your channel B, input and output, are always going to be separately controlled. So no matter what setting you're on, you will have to adjust your input and your output individually. So you need to be mindful of your levels, both on the inputs and the outputs. Now remember, you can check your output levels by switching to +4 to make sure you have consistent output levels. If you're using this as something you're recording through, obviously you can check your meters on your DAW. Okay, so for the stereo setting, which is the upper setting here, what's going to happen is both channels will have the attack and the release controlled together by whatever channel has the fastest attack and the slowest release. So just to recap on this, whichever channel has the fastest attack is going to control the attack for both channels, and whichever one has the slowest release is going to control the release for both channels in the upper stereo mode. Okay, so that's a little weird to remember, but that's how the actual original circuit works. So we're going to flip down to A over AB, which is the middle section. And this is going to make the most sense for working in stereo because channel A's attack and release controls both channels. So now when I go to adjust attack and release, channels A is going to control both channels no matter what the settings are. And then lastly, the bottom switch here, A/B, is just completely independent dual mono, meaning you basically have two 1176s that are sharing the ratio. So if you can assign this to your, I don't know, your kick drum and this one to your snare drum and just use them as separate 1176s with their own separate controls. Now, everything I explained about the controls on the Rev D goes for the same on the Blue Stripe version of the stereo unit. If I'm going to use this on a stereo source, I'm going to use this in the middle section A over AB because of the attack release controls being on channel A. And then we're basically going to just watch our inputs and our output levels to get the compression levels that we want and then the output, matched output that we want for that source. So I just inserted this on electric guitars now. Let's listen to this on here. I'm going to back off the input a little bit. And I'm going to slow the attack down and we'll just watch our output gain here. And then of course we can listen with the mix wet knob. Very cool. Now let's listen to the Rev A Blue Stripe on the bass guitar. I've got it inserted on the bass guitar. We're going to make sure our mix is set to wet. Got our sidechain high pass filter off right now, but we will play with that. 4:1 ratio, attack, release. We'll kind of go standard starting point here. Keep it in bypass, and then we will insert it. Here we go. Let's add in the drum tracks. Very cool. So obviously I'm going with a very aggressive compression on this bass guitar because this is a rock and roll song and it's got a bass tone that's a little more aggressive and it's a busy part. So I'm going with the faster release. I really like it. The only other thing I would play with maybe in the context of the drums is the mix wet parallel compression. Let's see what that does. I'm keeping the mix basically at full wet. You can toggle that to have it be parallel or just all the way wet with a little bit of a slower release. All right, last thing I'm gonna try is the blue stripe, and we'll throw it on a vocal here. Now, you gotta go easy on me. This is a vocal by me, and not much of a singer, so. Okay, so let's go ahead and listen to this vocal, and I'll just tweak some settings as it plays through this little section here.
She says she's ashamed, and can she take me for a while? And can I be a friend? We'll forget the past, and maybe I'm not able till the break at the bend. She says she's ashamed, and can she take me for a while? And can I be a friend? We'll forget the past, and maybe I'm not able till the break at the bend. She says she's ashamed, and can she take me for a while? And can I be a friend? We'll forget the past, and maybe I'm not able till the break at the bend. She says she's ashamed, and can she take me for a while? And can I be a friend? We'll forget the past, and maybe I'm not able till the break at the bend.
Wow, that's actually very, very versatile. That's with a pretty slow release, pretty fast attack, and we're smacking that thing.
She says she's ashamed, and can she take me for a while? And can I be a friend? We'll forget the past, and maybe I'm not able.
Yeah, I really like it with the slow release here. All right, I'm gonna unsolo. We'll listen to it in the context. There's just a guitar, it's background vocals.
She says she's ashamed, and can she take me for a while? And can I be a friend? We'll forget the past, and maybe I'm not able till the break at the bend.
Pretty awesome. I love that actually on vocals. Man, that thing is great. All right, so that's been the WA-76D2 stereo compressor and the WA-76A Blue Stripe single channel compressor. Again, these are both available in both single channel and dual channel. I'll put links to them down below. Big thank you to Warm Audio for sending these over to me so that I can make this video. These are pretty impressive, and it'll be fun to experiment with them both on the tracking side and the mixing side. I'm definitely excited to try this Blue Stripe on the tracking side as well. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and I want to thank today's sponsor, which is not Warm Audio, but what is our friends at Sweetwater, who have a bunch of awesome Black Friday deals. And if you're looking to pick up something like these compressors or something else, check the links down below. There are a bunch of different opportunities coming up for Thanksgiving and for the holidays and Black Friday and all that stuff. So check out those links down below. Big thank you to Sweetwater for sponsoring the channel, supporting me doing videos like this where I can experiment with cool toys, share it with you, get your thoughts. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.